All right. Scoot in a little bit. There we go. Good evening, radio fans. Big Al here on this late Thursday night. It's February 23rd, 2023. And welcome back to another edition of the AM and FM radio stations from across the country. And in today's edition, we'll be taking a look at a market I have not done in this series yet. And that's the Buffalo Niagara Falls radio market in Western New York. Now, these are only the stations that are licensed in the Buffalo Niagara Falls area. I did not include stations across the border in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, and that general portion of the region. And this is a rather small market based on how many radio stations I found here off of Wikipedia. There are only 32 full power stations, 13 on AM, 19 on FM. So this should be knocked out rather quickly. All right. That being said, let's jump into the AM and FM radio stations across the Niagara Frontier region of Western New York, including the Buffalo Niagara Falls area. Starting off on 5:50 a.m. with the city's oldest radio station, and that's WGR Buffalo. They're branded as Sports Radio 550 WGR. They have a sports talk format affiliated with CBS Sports Radio, the BetQL Audio Network, Westwood One Sports, and they are also the flagship radio home of both the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. As I said, WGR is Buffalo's oldest radio station, signing on the air in 1922 on the frequencies of 813 and 833 and 619 kilohertz. The station would air exclusively on 833 kilohertz in 1923 until moving to 940 a.m. later that year, and then to 990 in 1927, before the station landed on its present home at 550 in 1928. WGR has a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 5,000 watts. Studios are located at 500 Corporate Parkway, Suite 200, which is technically located in the Buffalo suburb of Elmhurst, New York. The station's transmitter is in Hamburg off of Big Tree Road. WGR is owned by Odyssey Incorporated and licensed to Odyssey License LLC, and their programming is simulcast on sister station WKSE 98.5 FM HD2 in nearby Niagara Falls. The next station up on 770 is not aimed at the Buffalo area, but it shows up on the list, and that's WTOR Youngstown, Ohio. They're branded as Radio Iawaz, Voice of Community. This is a brokered South Asian station which signed on the air on March 26, 1991, which is also the same day the FCC initially licensed this station. They have a Class D license with the Federal Communications Commission, broadcasting with a daytime ERP of 13,000 watts. Although this is an American licensed radio station, studios and offices are located at 5359 Timberley Road, Unit 28 in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, which is just outside Toronto. The station's transmitter is located in the States at 1883 Langdon Road in Ransomville, New York. WTOR is owned by Birace Broadcasting Corporation and operated by Radio Saz Oawaz under a local marketing agreement. WTOR is a Border Blaster radio station as programming originates from the Greater Toronto Area. It is sent back to the Ransomville transmitter site and then blasted back across the US-Canadian border into the Greater Toronto Area. So technically speaking, this is a Toronto station with an American license. This station, as I said, does not broadcast to the Buffalo Niagara Falls region, as again, programming originates from Metro Toronto. WTOR does operate on the assigned frequency of 770 kilohertz, which is a U.S. clear channel frequency reserved for Class A 50,000 watt station WABC in New York City. That being said, WTOR is a daytime only station and must go off the air at local sunset. Next up on 930 is WBEN, Buffalo. News Radio 930 WBEN, featuring a news talk format, affiliations with ABC News, NBC News, Premier Networks, Radio America, Westwood One, and local weather updates from ABC television station WKBW-TV Channel 7. This station was founded on September 22nd, 1922 as WMAK and signed on the air officially as WBEN on September 8th, 1930. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting with an ERP of 5,000 watts. Studios are located at 500 Corporate Boulevard, or rather Corporate Parkway, Suite 200 in Amherst, New York. The station's transmitter is located off of South Parkway in Grand Island, New York. WBEN News Radio 930 is owned by Odyssey Incorporated and licensed to Odyssey License LLC, and their programming is simulcast on WKSE 98.5 FM HD3, Niagara Falls, New York. 970 AM and 99.5 FM, Channel 258, is a simulcast station. WDCZ Buffalo airs on 970 AM, while its simulcast partner, WDCX FM 99.5, Channel 258, broadcasts in high definition. Both stations are branded as WDCX Radio. On both stations and on WDCX FM HD1 is Christian/religious programming. And on 99.5-2 is Christian music. WDCZ signed on the air on October 14th, 1924 as WEBR. So this would make it Buffalo's second oldest radio station. They would become WNED in 1993 and WDCZ in 2012. WDCX FM signed on the air on February 18th, 1963. Both stations have Class B licenses with the FCC. WDCZ AM 970 operates at 5,000 watts. WDCX FM, meanwhile, is one of 4 Class B grandfathered super-powered radio stations in the Buffalo area, broadcasting at 110,000 watts. Studios and offices for both stations are located at 625 Delaware Avenue, number 308 in Buffalo. The WDCZ transmitter is in Hamburg, off of Sawgrass Courts. The WDCX FM transmitter is in Boston, New York, off Zimmerman Road. Both stations are owned by Crawford Broadcasting, and both are licensed to Kimtron Incorporated. Programming is also simulcast on WDCX AM 990 in Rochester, New York, which is about an hour east of Buffalo. Our next station up on 1080 is WUFO, Elmhurst, New York. Power 96.5. This station plays urban, adult, contemporary, and classic hip-hop. WUFO signed on the air in 1948. They have a Class D license with the Federal Communications Commission, broadcasting at 1,000 watts effective radiated power during daytime hours only. Studios are located at 143 Broadway Avenue. Transmitter is at 2900 Genesee Street, both in Buffalo. WUFO is owned by Sheila L. Brown and is licensed to Visions Multimedia Group, WUFO Radio LLC. Programming is relayed on translator station W243DX Buffalo at 96.5 FM. WUFO is a daytime only station and must sign off the air at local sundown, as they do broadcast on 1080 kilohertz, which is a U.S. clear channel frequency reserved for Class A 50,000 watt stations, KRLD in Dallas, Texas, and WTIC in Hartford, Connecticut. However, WUFO must sign off the air at sundown, but their translator station on 96.5 relays the station's programming 24 hours a day, even after WUFO goes off the air at sundown on 1080 AM. 1120 is also a daytimer, and that's WBBF Buffalo. 98.9 The Vibe, Buffalo's classic hip-hop. Judging by that slogan, this station plays classic hip-hop. This station is about a year older than WUFO, signing on in 1947 as WWOL. The station underwent 4 call sign changes with 3 sets of call letters, including 2 stints with the WHTT calls from 1986 to 1987 and 1988 through 1999. The station officially became WBBF in 2005. WBBF has a Class D license with the FCC, broadcasting at 1,000 watts effective radiated power during daytime hours only. Studios are located at 50 James E. Casey Drive in Buffalo. Their transmitter is at 675 Dorrance Avenue, also in Buffalo. WBBF is owned by Cumulus Media and licensed to Radio License Holdings CBC LLC. Much like WUFO, WBBF is also a daytime only station and must sign off the air on 11:20 a.m. at local sunset. However, programming is relayed 24 hours a day on translator station W255DH Buffalo at 98.9 FM, the source of the station's brand. 1230 is WECK, Cheektowaga, New York. This is a Buffalo suburb. They're known as the Big WECK, featuring an oldies format. This station signed on the air in August of 1956 as WNIA. and officially became WECK in 1979. It's kind of dark here. Let me think something. There we go. Hopefully you'll be able to see me now. It's kind of dark. Okay. WECK has a Class C license with the FCC, broadcasting at 1,000 watts effective radiated power full time. Studios are located at 2909 Genesee Street in Buffalo. Their transmitter is located directly across from the station at 2900 Genesee Street in Buffalo. WECK is owned by Buddy Shula and licensed to Radio 1 Buffalo LLC. WECK's programming is relayed on the following three translator stations. W261EB Lancaster, New York on 100.1 FM. W263DL Tonawanda, New York on 100.5 FM. And W275BB Cheektowaga, New York on 102.9 FM. 1270 is WHLD Niagara Falls. They're known as Talk 1270, Buffalo's talk station. This station features a conservative talk format, affiliated with Fox News Radio, the Compass Media Networks, and Westwood One. WHLD is also the Buffalo area affiliate of Red Eye Radio, which is heard during the overnight hours. WHLD first signed on the air on May 20th, 1940. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 5,000 watts effective radiated power during daytime hours, 1,000 watts effective radiated power during nighttime hours. Studios are located at 50 James E. Casey Drive in Buffalo. Their transmitter is located near Cloverbank Road and Sawgrass Court in Hamburg, New York. WHLD Talk 1270 is owned by Cumulus Media and licensed to Radio License Holdings CBC LLC. 1300 is WXRL Lancaster, New York, branded simply as WXRL. They play classic country music, affiliated with the United Stations Radio Network. This station signed on the air in 1965. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 5,000 watts during the daytime and 2,500 watts at night. The studios and transmitter for WXRL are located at 5426 William Street in Lancaster, New York. The station is owned by the family of Ramblin' Lou Shriver and licensed under the umbrella of Dome Broadcasting Incorporated. Programming is relayed on translator station W238DD at 95.5 FM, also licensed to Lancaster. 1340 is WLVL, Lockport, New York. Hometown 1340 AM, 105.3 FM. Although they do not list the translator station for WLVL. This is a news, talk, and information station affiliated with Fox News Radio, Fox Sports Radio, Genesis Communications Network, Premier Networks, USA Radio Network, and Niagara Power Baseball. Now, this is a summer baseball team. WLVL signed on as WVSL on May 20th, 1949. That was the first license granted to the station by the Federal Communications Commission. And the station became WLVL in 1975. WLVL has a Class C license presently with the FCC, broadcasting at 1,000 watts. Studios are located in Buffalo at 1580 Kenmore Avenue. The transmitter is off of Michigan Street in the station's city of license of Lockport. WLVL is owned by Bill Yunke and licensed to Kenmore Broadcasting Communications. 1400 is WWWS Buffalo. Classic R&B 107.3 and 1400 AM. This station features urban oldies affiliated with Westwood One. This is one of the area's oldest stations, signing on the air on March 4th, 1936 as WBNY, which that call sign stands for Buffalo, New York, hence BNY. And the station initially aired at 1370 kilohertz upon sign-on. The station would move to its present 1400 frequency in 1941. They would also undergo 4 call sign changes with 4 sets of call letters before becoming WWWS in 1993. They have a Class C license with the FCC, broadcasting with an effective radiated power of 745 watts. So that's not a very powerful signal. Studios are located at 500 Corporate Parkway, Suite 200 in Elmhurst. Transmitter is at 214 Kensington Avenue in Buffalo. WWWS, Classic R&B 107.3 and 1400 AM, is owned by Odyssey Incorporated and licensed to Odyssey License LLC. Programming is relayed on translator station W297AB on 107.3 FM, licensed to the Buffalo suburb of Williamsville, New York. 1440 is WEBR, Niagara Falls. FM 105.3, AM 1440, WEBRradio.com. This station plays middle of the road and classic hits on weekdays, oldies, adult standards, Polish and Italian music on weekends. And they are affiliated with NBC News Radio, so you'll hear their updates at the top of each hour. WEBR, or the current iteration of WEBR, signed on the air on December 21st, 1947 as WJJL. And the station officially became WEBR in 2020. They have a Class D license with the Federal Communications Commission, broadcasting at 1,000 watts effective radiated power during daytime hours and only 55 watts during nighttime hours. Studios are located at 1580 Kenmore Avenue in Buffalo. Their transmitter is at 3941 Buffalo Avenue in Niagara Falls, the station's city of license. WEBR is owned by William Yunke and licensed to Kenmore Broadcasting Communications Incorporated. The final station on the AM band is 1520 WWKB Buffalo. They're known as the Bet Buffalo, featuring a sports gambling format. They're affiliated with CBS Sports Radio, the BetQL Audio Network, and they're the flagship station for the Buffalo Bisons, the local minor league baseball team there. WWKB is Buffalo's third oldest radio station, signing on the air in October of 1926 as WKBW on 827 kilohertz. The station would switch frequencies 5 times until landing on 1520 in 1941. WKBW would then become WWKB in 1986. Of course, WKBW, those call letters are familiar. They're used on the local ABC station in Buffalo on Channel 7. WWKB is a Class A clear channel station broadcasting at 50,000 watts effective radiated power unlimited. Studios are located at 500 Corporate Parkway, Suite 200 in Elmhurst, New York. Their transmitter is off of Big Tree Road in Hamburg. That's the same tower used by sister station WGR. WWKB 1520 The Bet Buffalo is owned by Odyssey Incorporated and licensed to Odyssey License LLC. So that's the AM band in Buffalo. Now let's jump on over to the FM side of the dial. 88.3, 89.3, and 89.5 are all part of a broadcast network. 88.3 Channel 202 is WCOU Attica, New York. 89.3 Channel 207 is WCOM FM Silver Creek, New York. And 89.5 Channel 208 is WCOF Arcade, New York. All three stations are part of the Family Life Network, featuring a Christian radio format. The FCC licenses for all three stations were unlisted on Wikipedia. WCOU Attica on 88.3 broadcasts with an effective radiated power of 11,000 watts. Its transmitter is located off of Plow Road in Attica. WCOM FM Silver Creek on 89.3 broadcasts with an effective radiated power of 8,000 watts. Their transmitter is located off of Brent Reservation Road / Mile Block Road in Brent, New York. WCOF Arcade on 89.5 operates with an ERP of 1,000 watts, and their transmitter is located off of East County Line Road in Centerville, New York. Programming originates from the headquarters of Family Life Network at 7634 Campbell Creek Road in Bath, New York. Their mailing address is P.O. Box 506, Bath, New York 14810. And all three stations are owned by Family Life Ministries Incorporated. Now, this is not to be confused with Family Life Radio, the Tucson, Arizona-based Christian broadcaster. Programming is also simulcast to the Buffalo metro area on WBUF 92.9 FM HD2 in Buffalo, which is owned by Town Square Media and operated by Family Life Ministries under a local marketing agreement. Programming is also relayed on 5 translator stations across the Buffalo area. W239BA Niagara Falls and W239BX Albion, New York, both on 95.7 FM. W262CQ Lockport, New York, on 100.3 FM. W263CN Dunkirk, New York, on 100.5 FM. And W291CN 106.1 FM Buffalo. 89.7 Channel 209, broadcasting in high definition, is WBFO Buffalo, branded simply as WBFO. On 89.7 FM analog and 89.7-1 is public radio. affiliations with National Public Radio. 89.7-2 is adult album alternative known as The Bridge. WBFO signed on the air on January 6th, 1959. Sorry. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting with an effective radiated power of 50,000 watts. And that, by the way, is the maximum ERP for a Class B station that is not grandfathered superpower stations. WBFO studios are located at 140 Lower Terrence Street in downtown Buffalo. Their transmitter is off of Millersport Highway or New York State Route 263 in Buffalo. WBFO is owned by Buffalo Toronto Public Media, licensed to Western New York Public Broadcasting Association. And their programming is simulcast on WUBJ 88.1 FM Jamestown and WOLN 91.3 FM Olean, New York. And then the final station on the real short non-commercial band is 91.3 Channel 217, and that's WBNY Buffalo. Branded as 91.3 WBNY with a campus radio format. This station signed on the air in 1982. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 1,150 watts ERP horizontal, 1,040 watts ERP vertical. Studios are located on the campus of Buffalo State University at 1300 Elmwood Avenue in Buffalo. Their transmitter is also in Buffalo off of Rockwell Road. WBNY is owned by Buffalo State College and licensed to the State University of New York. So yeah, that non-commercial band was pretty quick. Now we'll jump into the commercial band on FM, starting off with 92.1 Channel 221. WYVL, Youngsville, Pennsylvania. Now this station does air to Buffalo, but it's really aimed at Jamestown, New York, or Johnstown, New York, which is southwest of Buffalo. This station is known as Dove FM, featuring Christian contemporary music. This station signed on the air on November 2nd, 1998. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting at 2,500 watts. Studio location is unlisted. I couldn't even get a billing address from their website either. The station's transmitter is off of Yankee Bush Road in Youngsville, PA. This station is owned by the Calvary Chapel of Russell. 92.9 Channel 225, broadcasted in high definition, is WBUF Buffalo. 92.9 WBUF, everything that rocks. On 92.9 FM analog and 92.9-1 is mainstream rock. I wrote down active rock, not paying any attention, but they are a mainstream rock station. 92.9-2 is Christian radio from the Family Life Network. We just talked about them at the top of the FM rundown. WBUF signed on the air as WBNY FM in 1947. And this station had an identity crisis, if you will. They underwent 6 call sign changes using 4 sets of call letters, including WFXZ and WFXZ FM between 1980 and 1981. And they had 2 previous runs as WBUF. The first was 1959 to 1980, and the second run came in 1981 and lasted until 1995. The station would return to the WBUF cause in 1999, and they've stuck ever since, and this is their third run as WBUF. This is the second of the 4 Class B grandfather superpower radio stations in Buffalo, as WBUF is authorized to broadcast with an effective rated power of 76,000 watts. The studios are located atop the Rand building at 14 Lafayette Square, 12th floor in downtown Buffalo. Now, those not familiar, the Rand building is the second tallest building in the city. WBUF's transmitter is off of Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. WBUF is owned by Town Square Media and licensed to Town Square Media of Buffalo Incorporated. Translator stations W239BA 95.7 FM Niagara Falls, W262CQ 100.3 FM Lockport, and W291CN 106.1 FM Buffalo relays the Christian format on HD2. So that makes WBUF a sister station to our next station, 93.7 Channel 229, broadcasting in high definition, WBLK, Depew, New York. Power 93.7 WBLK, the People's Station. On 93.7 FM analog and 93.7-1 is Urban Contemporary. So this is the hip-hop station of record in Buffalo. They're affiliated with Compass Media Networks and Premier Networks. WBLK signed on the air on December 10th, 1964. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 47,000 watts. Studios are located in the Rand building, 14 Lafayette Square, 12th floor in Buffalo. Their transmitter is located at the top of the Rand building in downtown Buffalo. WBLK is owned by Town Square Media and licensed to Town Square Media of Buffalo Incorporated. 94.5 Channel 233, broadcasting in high definition, is WNED-FM Buffalo. WNED Classical on 94.5 FM analog and 94.5-1 is classical music. 94.5-2 is jazz, dubbed as Jazz Works. WNED-FM signed on the air on June 6, 1960 as WEBR-FM. The station underwent 3 call sign changes with 2 sets of call letters, including WEBR-FM, which they used on 2 separate occasions from 1960 to 1971 and 1975 to 1976. That was the year they became WNED-FM. This is the third of the Class B grandfathered superpower stations in the area, as WNED-FM is permitted to broadcast with an effective rated power of 94,000 watts. Studios are located at 140 Lower Terrence Street in downtown Buffalo. Their transmitter is at 8971 Zimmerman Road in Boston, New York. WNED is owned by Buffalo Toronto Public Media and licensed to Western New York Public Broadcasting Association. Now, this is also the same conglomerate that owns WBFO and PBS television station WNED-TV Channel 17. WNED-FM's programming is simulcast in Jamestown on WNJA 89.7 FM. And this station also serves the greater Toronto area, as their 94,000 watt signal easily compasses Canada's largest city and metro area. Next is 96.9 channel 245, broadcasting in high definition, and that's WGR. I take that back. That's the next station up. I'm jumping ahead of myself. The next station up is 96.1 channel 241, and they broadcast in high definition as well. That's WMSX Buffalo. 96.1 The Breeze. On 96.1 FM analog and 96.1-1 is adult contemporary for much of the year and Christmas music during the holidays. This station signed on the air on November 11th, 1966 as WBNY FM. They became WJYE in 1979 and WMSX in 2014. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 47,000 watts. Studios are located in the Rand Building, 14 Lafayette Square, 12th floor, downtown Buffalo. Their transmitter is located at the top of the Rand Building. WMSX 96.1 The Breeze is owned by Town Square Media and licensed to Town Square Media of Buffalo Incorporated. Now we can talk about 96.9 channel 245, broadcasting in high definition, and that's WGRF Buffalo. They're known as 97 Rock on 96.9 FM analog, and 96.9-1 is classic rock with no additional subchannels. This station signed on the air on September 14th, 1959. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting with an effective radiated power of 24,000 watts. Studios are located at 50 James E. Casey Drive in Buffalo. Transmitter is off of Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. WGRF is owned by Cumulus Media and licensed to Radio License Holding CBC LLC. And before I forget, the station did undergo 3 call sign changes with 3 sets of call letters, including WGRFM, which they used from their 1959 sign-on until 1973, and then again from 1988 to 1991. Now, this call sign was derived from NBC television station WGR-TV Channel 2, now known today as WGRZ. Wanted to get that in. The station officially became WGRF in 1991. 98.5 channel 253, also broadcasting in high definition, is WKSE Niagara Falls. KISS 98.5 on 98.5 FM analog, and 98.5-1 is Top 40 CHR. 98.5-2 is the sports simulcast of Sports Radio 550 WGR. 98.5-3 is the News Talk simulcast of News Radio 930 WBEN. WKSE signed on the air on January 1st, 1946 as WHLD-FM. The station underwent 2 call sign changes with 2 sets of call letters before becoming WKSE in 1985. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 46,000 watts. Studios are located at 500 Corporate Parkway, Suite 200 in Elmhurst, New York. Their transmitter is at 2692 Staley Road in Grand Island. WKSE is owned by Odyssey Incorporated, licensed to Odyssey License LLC. We only have 6 stations left, and then we will be done. 101.7 channel 269 is WLOF, Elma, New York. This station is known as the Station of the Cross. This is a Catholic radio station with affiliations with EWTN Radio. WLOF first signed on the air as WBTF on November 9th, 1977. They would become WXOX in 1998 and WLOF with its current Catholic format in 1999. They have a Class A license with the FCC, broadcasting with an effective radiated power of 2,800 watts. Studios are located at 6325 Sheridan Drive in Williamsville, New York. The station's transmitter is at 1964 Folsomdale Road in Lancaster, New York, or rather, Cowlesville, New York, I should say. Sorry about that. WLOF, the Station of the Cross, is owned by Holy Family Communications. Programming is simulcast on WLGU 90.7 FM in Lancaster, New York, and WHIC 1460 AM in Rochester. 102.5 channel 273, broadcasting in high definition, is WTSS Buffalo, Star 102.5. On 102.5 FM analog and 102.5-1 is hot adult contemporary for much of the year and Christmas music during the holidays. 102.5-2 is the country simulcast of WLKK. We'll be talking about this station at the very end of this rundown, so stay tuned. 102.5-3 is LGBTQ talk, dance, EDM, and top 40, known as Channel Q. WTSS signed on the air as WBEN-FM on November 11th, 1946 on 43.3 megahertz. And then would later move to 92.1 FM, and then again to 106.5 FM in 1947, before moving to 102.5 in 1958. The station would become WMJQ in 1987 and the current WTSS in 2000. WTSS is the fourth and final Class B grandfathered superpower station in Buffalo, operating with an effective radiated power of 110,000 watts, and that's the same ERP WDCX uses. Studios are located at 500 Corporate Parkway, Suite 200 in Elmhurst, New York. Transmitter is located at 8242 Center Street in Colden, New York. WTSS Star 102.5 is owned by Odyssey Incorporated and licensed to Odyssey License LLC. Translator station W284AP 104.7 FM Buffalo relays the country music format on WLKK-FM via WTSS HD2. 103.3 channel 277 is WEDG Buffalo. 103.3 The Edge, Buffalo's rock radio. This is an alternative rocker which signed on the air as WYSL-FM in 1947. They became WPMD-FM in 1970, WOFX in 1989, before becoming the current WEDG in 1995. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 4,900 watts, or rather 49,000 watts, sorry. Studios are located at 50 James E. Casey Drive in Buffalo. Transmitters also in Buffalo at 255 Kensington Avenue. WEDG 103.3 The Edge is owned by Cumulus Media, licensed to to Radio License Holding CBC LLC, and that makes it a sister station to our next station, which is 104.1 Channel 281, broadcasting in high definition, and that's WHTT FM Buffalo. Classic Hits 104.1 WHTT on 104.1 FM analog, and 104.1-1 is Classic Hits with no additional subchannels. They're affiliated with Compass Media Networks, Premier Networks, and Westwood One. WHTT-FM signed on the air officially as WWOL-FM in 1954. They underwent 3 call sign changes with 3 sets of call letters until they became WHTT-FM in 1986. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 50,000 watts. Studios are located at 50 James E. Casey Drive in Buffalo. Transmitter is at 675 Dorrance Avenue, also in Buffalo. WHTT Classic Hits 104.1 is owned by Cumulus Media and licensed to Radio License Holding CBC LLC. Jumping ahead to 106.5 Channel 293, broadcasting in high definition, is WYRK Buffalo. Country 106.5 WYRK. On 106.5 FM analog and 106.5-1 is country music with no additional subchannels. This station signed on the air as WADV in 1962 and became WYRK in 1981. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting at 50,000 watts. Studios are located in the Rand Building, 14 Lafayette Square, 12th floor, downtown Buffalo. Their transmitter is located at the top of the Rand Building in Buffalo. WYRK, or Country 106.5 WYRK, is owned by Town Square Media and licensed to Town Square Media of Buffalo Incorporated. And this would be the competition to our final station on the list, and that's 107.7 Channel 299, broadcasting in high definition, WLKK, Wethersfield, New York. They're known as 107.7 and 104.7 The Wolf. On 107.7 FM analog and 107.7-1 is country music with no additional subchannels. Again, this would be the competition for WYRK. WLKK signed on the air on June 6, 1948 as WFNF. And this station had an identity crisis. They would undergo 8 call sign changes with 8 sets of call letters before becoming WLKK in 2004. They have a Class B license with the FCC, broadcasting with an effective radiated power of 17,000 watts. Studios are located at 500 Corporate Parkway, Suite 200 in Amherst, New York. Transmitter is off of New York State Road 78 in Wethersfield, New York. Now, this is a small town which is pretty much halfway between Buffalo and Rochester. It's technically a part of the Rochester market, but this station is aimed at Buffalo. 107.7 and 104.7 The Wolf WLKK is owned by Odyssey Incorporated and licensed to Odyssey License LLC. And what I didn't write down at the end there is translator station W284AP 104.7 FM Buffalo relays the country music format on WLKK via WTSS HD2. And that is a rundown of the AM and FM radio stations throughout the Buffalo Niagara Falls region of Western New York. All right, we're going to reissue 2 major markets in one video, in a couple videos coming up in my next edition, as we will reissue both the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. markets. And I will combine them as one big market. So that will be coming soon. Be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching and happy listening. Peace out.